That, folks, is a problem with your sump pump. So what we're going to do today is we're going to replace this failing sump pump with a new sump pump. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the sump pump we're going to use to replace it, as well as replacing the unit itself. So some tips and tricks to consider if you run into the same problem. Now, one of the things, my sump pump there is failing. So either a valve or something in the unit in the bottom lower half of the unit's going out. The level mechanism still seems to be working because the water rises, it trips it, pump goes off, but as you can see from the turbulence and the noise, something's not working correctly with the pump. So it's time to replace it. So one of the things, it's also good to have a standby pump. Now you'll notice here I've got a city water backup in place, so if this pump fails, now for real short-term use this is okay. I wouldn't highly recommend it. I do also have a whole house generator, so if the power goes out, I'm not really dependent upon this. I'm really only dependent upon the city water backup if I'm having a situation with the main pump itself. And so this is one thing you want to be proactive about. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this typical big box home store brand with a higher quality pump. I'm going to be using actually the Liberty 257. It's part of the 250 series, the 257 particular. I'll have links down in the comments below where you can get this pump on Amazon at a great deal. Now, why do I like this pump? One of the things is this pump, and I'll show it to you here, has a magnetic float system. So instead of being mechanical, what happens is float system has a magnet in it and actually trips the unit to fire it. So what happens in a lot of these older systems, they have mechanical switches, and the mechanical switches tend to wear out over time. Now with this one that's not the case, but usually that's what fails. So I really like the magnetic switch on these versus the and here we go again, and you can kind of see the turbulence. So there's something in the impeller, you can hear it's kind of snorting, and you shouldn't be doing that. So we're going to pull this out and replace it with this one. Now when you go to replace a pump situation like this, timing is important. Believe it or not, it's actually relatively dry today, so this runs pretty frequently. So we need to really time the switch of this, and I do have also the city water as a backup in case I do run into trouble, but let's hope I don't. So one of the first things that we're going to want to do is stage the assembly of our new pump. So let's go ahead and do that and then come back. So what I have here is I have my 1.5-inch pipe. I've got my 1.5-inch receiver to thread receiver, which will go on the pump down there. So one of the first things we'll do is we'll take some of this purple primer, and one of the things you notice I put a piece of cardboard down to protect my floor, is we're going to run the primer down around the inside of this and just around the outside of this pipe, and put the top back on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the PVC cement and we're just going to run it around the outside. Now the PVC cement will set up very quick, so you have to kind of get it on there just like this, and I usually give it a little bit of a twist just to make sure it sets up. So now we're good with this. This is basically already set up. We can now thread this into the pump. Now we want to make sure we don't cross thread this. Now what we want to do is we just want to thread this in a little bit to hold it, because what we're going to do is we're going to need to set up our pump assembly, because you notice down there we have some elbows, a little bit hard to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to unplug the existing pump, pull it out, and use that as my template to measure and cut these pieces to size. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we have the other pump removed. Now one of the things you might have the urge to kind of salvage this, I wouldn't. It's pretty corroded. PVC's cheap, and it's best for longevity just to have something that's wholly set up new and fresh. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to measure from the ground up to roughly the top of this flange here, because what's going to happen is this pipe is going to come up into this flange. So I'm a little bit short of 19 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer that measurement to here. So I'm going to go roughly about 18 3/4 inches. And so that's, I want to check this just again. Yep, about 18 3/4. And I just want to double check. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Yep, I'm about 18 3/4. So I'm going to take this pipe off now, and I'm going to go ahead and just use a hacksaw and cut this pipe right here. Okay, so I've now cut this. I put my 90-degree on here, and I'm going to save this piece a little bit until I sight the pump in the pit itself. Now, one of the things to notice is the placement of how these pumps are aligned. And so for my sump, I'm going to return them basically in the same configuration where I want the pipe in the back. Now notice my separation here is a little bit more than here, so this is why I can't just reuse and measure this. So I'll need a little bit longer, probably piece of pipe to come into my check valve down here. So I'm going to move this pump out of the way, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sight this pump into the hole. Okay, so we have the pump now situated. I've put in my short piece of pipe. I've tightened it to the check valve. Notice I had to turn this a little bit. There's a block in the bottom of this that this has to sit on, and I had to adjust it a little bit for that. That's why I kind of want to snug it up and then kind of adjust it. Notice I still have room for my safety float here, and I'm clear of the other pump. So the sump is rather filling with water, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and let's plug this in and listen to how quiet that is. That is amazingly quiet. This is why you want to get this pump. See, all you hear is the water actually flowing through the pipe now. And again, this pump is amazing. And there really isn't a cost difference. It's about $150 on Amazon. And again, I'll have the links down below, but this thing is super quiet. And now it's getting down to the bottom here. Now it's having to pump quite a bit out because the water was starting to back up. See, now it's done, and no wicked noise at the end of this. So one of the things, I did a lot of research on the Liberty pumps, and I've had good luck with them in the past in my homes. And again, that's why I'd highly suggest it. So as you can see from this installation video, it's very easy to replace your own sump pump. Again, always be safe when working with water around electricity. Make sure your old pump's unplugged when handling it and taking it out of the sump. Also, when putting your new pump in, make sure it's unplugged and not operable when you put it in, and then that you're clear of the sump hole when you're working on it and getting ready to put everything in. But again, you can hear it run again. You're not hearing any motor noise. You're basically just hearing the water run into the sump, and that's it. So again, very happy with this pump. So hopefully you found this interesting, and you found a way to do your own sump pump repair and for a good sump pump. Because one of the things, as I was looking online, I didn't see a lot. I really wanted to hear how loud this pump was, and everybody said in the written reviews it was amazing. But I just wanted you guys to hear for yourselves how wickedly quiet this guy is. So again, links to this pump will be below if you're interested. I'll have the links to all these pieces down there. So again, give this a big thumbs up. Share this if you know somebody looking for a sump pump. The Liberty 257 is the pump to go with. So cheers, and we'll see you guys the next time we do an improvement.